Guys, gals, and fellow gender nonconforming pals, welcome back. My legal name is C28, and today we talked about finalizing the process. The final process of mixing. And that'd be the mix refinement. So, three main topics we went over were bus compression, malting, and automation. Let's start with that first one. So very simply, bus compression is essentially sending all your stuff to a main compressor. This is typically done in the mastering stage as well, but bus compression is something that can help glue all your tracks together before the mastering process. And it's not going to have a massive ratio on it. So bus compression, of course, using a compressor. And the ratio max you want to use is like 2-to-1. You don't want to use a whole lot. It's just designed to be something that helps glue things together. And to kind of show it off, and I'm going to hate doing this, but to kind of show it off, right now is an example of both the iPhone audio and the microphone audio at the same time. Now, I'm going to add some bus compression right about now. And you may hear, or you may not hear, they sound a little bit nicer together. They seem to play well together. To each their own. I mean, it's hard to notice, but let's roll back on that compression and let's get rid of the other audio. We don't need that. Back to me. That's going to be so fun to work through after I finish shooting this, but that's basically it. Yeah. Actually, one more thing. Just a note, the release is something to pay attention to. If you're doing something like music, so like not what you just heard there, but if you're doing music, you want your release time to match the tempo of the song. So essentially every quarter note, that should be how fast your release acts. So that way there's musicality to your bus compression. Now on to the next thing, which is malting. So a very good example of malting that we've already kind of done is parallel compression. Malting is multiplying, making more than one copy of or just more than one thing of a track. So at least one copy. And with malting, you can do anything. I mean, you're just adding dynamic effects on a clone of the same track. So it's using the same clip. It's got all the same stuff. It's just now this one is being mixed with this one. Here's your original, here's your new, and they get mixed together. Same thing with parallel compression, where you have an uncompressed signal and a compressed signal playing together. You can do this with many other things. Or you can tie this in with automation, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and have different sections of the song have different qualities to different tracks. So say you want your vocal in the verse to have this very clean nature to it. It's very like crisp and nice. But then once you hit the pre-chorus, you want it to like do some weird stuff, maybe some flange, do something crazy. And then when you hit the chorus, you're going to do some really cool distortion on it, and you'll have a parallel compression with the distortion on there in the background as well. And you have all these three tracks lined up and it sounds super powerful and crazy. Malting. Very fun. And of course, it could be anything. It doesn't have to be just your vocals. It could be anything. Guitars, drums, anything. Anything. I'm going to stop saying that word now. Now, a big thing to take into consideration is that when you are malting, you have multiple tracks of the same track. You might run into phase issues. So pay attention to the phase of your stuff. Maybe invert it. Maybe see, just, do your precautionary stuff to make phase not a thing that's affecting your mix negatively with these multiple variants of the same track. So that could be anything from simple panning. So maybe you have your tracks pan opposite directions. Maybe that's not what you want. Maybe you just need to put a delay on something. A simple, tiny delay can fix phase issues. Maybe you're just going to invert the polarity. We'll see. You'll just have to see. It's not something I can just say, oh yeah, when you have phase issues, do this. I mean, there's so many things you could do. So just pay attention to that when you are multiplying tracks. That can be a massive issue when malting. Now, the final part of the lecture was automation. This was the majority of the lecture time. We dove into how automation can play a part with your malting. So I mentioned that. How you can change the dynamics of different parts of your song, from just level to panning to even individual plugins changing over time. Automation basically means anything within your digital audio workstation, or analog for that matter. Some consoles allow automation, which is really cool, or enable you to automate, which is cool. But the digital audio workstation environment is the most powerful version of that, because you're not going to have really a whole suite of analog plugins that allow you to automate them. You're going to have to do that in person. But, you know, that's the trade-off of using analog. Is it sounds really nice, sounds great, does the thing, and you don't have to worry about CPU. But you have to do everything. So there's that. There are, I think, 4 different types of modes that you can have for your automation. You have maybe 5 if you count. 5 if you count off. So off is the 0th type. Really, the first type is read, but off is essentially your track is not going to read or write any automation data. It's just not going to care. It's going to be like, okay, those are some cool lines. I don't care, and disregard. The next one is the default, is read. It's going to read automation data, but it's not going to allow you to print, to record any automation data. After that, you have write, which is kind of a dangerous one. It's the most destructive. And typically you only want to use this on your first pass, when you're doing one automation pass, because this is going to overwrite all the automation data, all of it. So if you're playing your track and you're in write mode and you had automation data, it's not going to be like, oh, when you let go, it will return here, or like it'll move it by this much. No, it's just going to delete whatever you had. And thankfully there is an undo function in Pro Tools, but still, maybe don't use this for anything other than your first pass. Instead, you can use something like touch or latch. So, touch and latch. Touch is probably the most commonly used automation mode. Touch essentially says, okay, I'm going to move automation markers. I'm going to move a knob in the digital audio workstation environment, a fader, something like that. And when I stop doing that, return to where you were before. Very easy. So the second you start touching, and it has to be playing, but when it's playing, and the second you start touching stuff, it will begin recording the automation data. And the second you let go, it's going to snap back wherever it was. Latch is a little different. Latch is exactly the same thing, except for that last part. Latch stays wherever you leave it. So latch is, you turn it on, and you have to turn it off by ceasing play, and then it will return to where it was by just not recording more. Whereas touch will return the second it detects you're not moving, or you don't have your mouse clicked in on whatever parameter you're moving around. And of course, you can also draw these in. There's a pencil tool in Pro Tools, and every other digital audio workstation, for the most part, is going to have automation. A big part of the digital audio workstation environment that makes it so powerful is the ability to do automation. So it'd be wild if there was a DAW that didn't have this. But using the pencil tool, you can, of course, draw little markers, say, okay, I want it to anchor here and then move to here. And just whatever time it takes to go from there to there, it's going to be going between those different values. Now, Pro Tools also has different pencil tools you can use. You have a triangle tool, you have a square wave tool, and you even have a random tool to just be like, yeah, random automation. And it's random square, so it's like blocky. Different uses for each one. Now, blocky automation isn't going to be something you use everywhere. You're only going to use it on Boolean type automation. So whether something's on or off, like a mute, or if you're going to have ping pong delay on or off. Like I said, just Boolean sort of parameters, not something like what percent is your feedback. If it sounds good, it sounds good. But like typically you don't want to jump between one place and another. A big thing that can cause is popping. Very rarely is popping a creative choice. So maybe avoid that. Now, one final little quirk with Pro Tools is when you are automating plugins, by default, you can't. What? Why? I don't have a reason for you. My guess is it's like a safety precaution or something like that, which I don't really like. But in Pro Tools, you have to engage specific parameters in your plugin, which is like, that's irritating. Fortunately, there's an easy way to do it. The hard way to do it is you go into the plugin itself, and then there's like an auto tab, and then there's something that says safe, and then just above that is like a window icon. You click that and you pick which ones you want. The easy way is you press Control, Option, Command, and you just click the thing you want, and then you just say enable. So really, I don't think you would be ever doing the first option. Do the second one. Control, Command, Option, click. It's pretty easy. Just these three here, and then you click. Got it? So that pretty much does it for automation. And like I said in the last video log, I want to include the key points that I write down. So, key points section. Here's what I wrote. Key point 1. Bus compression glues stuff together, but it can destroy the mix if it's done too intensely. Point 2. Malting lets you make different effects for different tracks and different song sections. A very useful thing if you want to make a creative change during different parts of the song. And point 3. Give your ears time to relax during mixing. Ideally, mix for no more than like 30 to 45 minutes. Your ears will get fatigued. You may not even notice it, but your ears will have a different frequency response when they are fatigued, leading to bad creative choices in the mix. So, take breaks and take them often. I have not always followed this advice. I think I'm going to do some automation stuff with Siri. I'm getting an R1 in soon, which will be fun, sometime in June or July. Mismodulations maybe, set up some automations with Siri. But to remind me, whenever I'm mixing, to every half hour, stop. Take a break, however long you need. I actually don't know what the best time to wait is. Let me find that out real quick. Okay, so according to Isotope, they're saying a 10-minute break every hour or a 20-minute break every 90 minutes. I'm going to go more intense. I'm going to say a 10-minute break, maybe an 8-minute break every 30 minutes is probably a really, really good way to do it. So every 30 minutes, take an 8-minute break. I think that should be good. So there's my C28 wisdom to you. Of course, Isotope also has their stuff, so there's that. So in lab, which was yesterday, in lab, we began to include time-based effects into our track. And we did receive our feedback for our lab session and our final mix session. My final mix session went outstandingly well. Surprisingly, I didn't actually do so hot on the lab session, which I thought I was doing really well on. Fortunately, it seems like every week we're getting new sessions to download. So if we ever didn't get 100%, we start with 100% fresh grade. So I'm thinking next time I'm graded, hopefully that'll be all fixed. I haven't reviewed yet what went wrong, so I will do that. The only thing that went wrong on the final mix was, I think, something with track names, that the names weren't set a certain way. And I don't recall there being a requirement for names. So I'm going to have to look through and figure out what that was. There was something else about session setup. I forget what it was, but two small things, and I wasn't even graded off of it for the actual grade. That was just like marked off on the assignment, but like technically 0% weight. But good to know. So next in lab, we will be implementing these final mix refinement things, and that'll be fun. So we'll be doing some bus compression, we'll be doing some malting, we'll be doing some automation, and yeah, applying that to our final mix as well. So C28 stuff, again, busy, not doing a whole lot. Today, I will be doing some bottling of my kombucha, hopefully. So, yeah, that's fun. I actually have to drink a whole bottle of kombucha because I bought it like 2 days ago and haven't even opened it. And that's the bottle I intend on using to store my Blue Lotus Zing kombucha. So, I'm going to down that real quick, I suppose. But I imagine the kombucha has been doing well in the past 3 days that I've been letting it simmer just a bit more. The SCOBY's been eating some sugar, turning it into alcohol, turning the alcohol into the different acids. What was it? Like lysergic or something, and acetic acid, the LNA acids, whatever they are, and different other compounds. So fun stuff. Good for gut health, good for like general health and stuff. But yeah, not a whole lot happening on the music front or the electronics front. That might be pretty much halted until I finish this class. So stand by, unfortunately. But if you enjoyed today's video, let me know. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, something fun like that. You can, of course, subscribe. YouTube will, give you fun new content like this from myself, from other creators. And, you get to enjoy more content like this, assuming you enjoy. If you don't, then, oh my goodness, how did you make it this far? It's insane. I've been recording for like 17 minutes. That's mad. How did you survive this long? Hopefully I'm not that boring to listen to, though. So, yeah, of course, if you super enjoyed it, so the opposite of what I just said, you can become a control voltage by joining. So once, production C28 music ramps up again, this class, I'm not totally going all in on with my time, and I can spread it out and do the fun recreational stuff, then you get to enjoy those perks as a control voltage. Of course, you still have access to the Discord. You'll get some behind the scenes content after this month. Early access to videos like this one, and members only lives plus. We'll see. Whatever else you want, let me know. We'll do it. Yeah, hopefully. I won't do anything illegal, but within budget, within morality, within law, let's do it. Again, if you have any questions or comments, you can leave those in the comment section below. I'll get back to them, post them in the space. They're super cool. So, I hope you all take care of yourselves. God be with you, and goodbye, YouTube.